Hi, my name is Nathalie DeLeon and welcome to La Historia no Contada English. I'd like to thank everyone who's joining us here, everybody who's listening or watching, wherever you're watching it. Also, please remember we do have social medias. We have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, podcasts. Please join us wherever you can, whatever platform you're on. We would love to have you. Before we get started, also, I would like to read a verse. So let's go ahead and go to Romans chapter 6, verse 23. It says, "For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Jesus Christ our Lord." Always remember, guys, the Lord is with you. Heck yeah. Also, before we get started, to introduce myself a little bit, I am Nathalie DeLeon. I am one of your hosts for the English version of La Historia no Contada, which, just so you know, in English does mean the untold story. Here we'll be diving into people's histories, people's stories. We'll have people to talk to come in from all over where we can grab them. And also, on our way, we're going to have an interview with someone from our local church, Iglesia Tetelestai Pentecostal, and we're going to have someone come over here, we're going to interview them, and we're hopefully going to dive into that untold story that she does have to share with us. Please stay tuned.
Detrás de cada rostro hay una historia no contada que merece ser escuchada. Lágrimas y sonrisas, altas y bajas que componen la vida de cada invitado, porque todos tenemos una historia que contar. Bienvenidos a Historia no contada con Lucas Burgos.
Hi, welcome back to La Historia no Contada. I am your host for this English version of the podcast, Nathalie DeLeon. I'm excited to say that we are interviewing tonight a local youth of La Iglesia Tetelestai Pentecostal. This is Isabella Lombard.
Hi, Dios te bendiga. God bless you all.
Amen, amen. So, Isabella is actually one of the pianists for Iglesia Tetelestai Pentecostal, which is amazing. How did you, get into music in the church?
In the church? I started off with music in general when I found a piano in the house. That's kind of where it all started. And then I didn't really get to playing in church until I got here into Tetelestai. That's when I started learning more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So also, how old are you? Where are you from?
Well, I'm 16. I'm from here, America, Florida. My parents, my dad is from Mexico and my mom's from Puerto Rico. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Puerto Rican too. Anyways, also, what do you do? Are you a student? Do you work? What is if you don't work now, what is, your hope for your career goals and all that?
So I am currently in school. I'm in high school. I'm in 11th grade. I want to work in the medical field, maybe become a radiologist or a geneticist, something to do with medicine.
It's a lot of math.
Yeah.
There's a lot of math.
It's a lot of math.
Yes, it is. So, a student, 11th grade, how is, juggling that school, church life, having schoolwork and having to go to church, and especially being one of the pianists, having to, go to a lot of the services and play?
It's full, You have a lot of homework, and then you have practice on Fridays, and then you go to church Thursday and then Sunday. So it's kind of full, but it's so far manageable. It keeps me busy because I have my homework, and when I don't have homework, I can always practice on the piano for the upcoming songs. So it's kind of balanced out right now, so it's okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And where did that passion for music start? I know you said you found a piano laying around in the house. Did anybody really influence the passion for music, or was it something you came to on your own?
I think it's just kind of always been there because no, I never really looked up to anyone because they played music. Mm-hmm. I just always found it interesting, and I'd always try to make up little songs in my head and all that stuff when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I found the piano, I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to learn how to play that, because I like listening to classical music and everything.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, I wish I could play like that too.
Yeah.
So it would be really fun. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how did you know, not Tetelestai in general, but how did you come to church? How did you come to that life of, coming to church, of having a relationship with God? How did you come into that?
Well, my first time going to a church, it was when I was really young. It was like just me and my dad. And we went to a church, but I don't remember a lot. That would be like the first time I went to a church. And then, I've always gone to churches.
Yeah.
So it's like it's always been there. And then there's just like some times where it's like, you just get used to it. It's like it's a thing.
It's just become so present in your life that now it's something and something you always do. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really different when you have to start growing up and then realizing that there's more than to just going to church.
Yeah,
because you have to start knowing God and figuring out your purpose on earth and what is it that you're going to do, how you're going to do it. And then there's like all the struggles and everything. When you're little, you maybe don't feel that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I was everywhere. My brain, it just wasn't present. And now I'm older, and I've always gone to church, right? So I've always like been on the sideline.
Yeah.
I would mostly at least try to pray, try to read the Bible as much as I can. At least force myself to, because it's a struggle to read the Bible and understand it, And, I would just try to go to church and, sing some songs and try to pay attention to the preachings, But I've always felt like it just wasn't enough, So as I got older, like more, especially now during COVID, I guess, it was like a kind of a harder time because now I'm at home by myself, like a lot more, during school time and everything, during those hours.
You don't have that influence.
Exactly.
So,
And, you couldn't go to church, and it's like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
I'm just here by myself. What should I do? And it kind of started, a self-discovery journey, I guess.
Okay.
It was kind of crazy, man. I learned a bunch of new stuff about me,
That's awesome.
and how to like kind of move from this little hole that I felt like I was in.
Yeah.
And it was just a different experience, I guess. Eventually, I came to this church, and I feel like I opened up more because I was able to use my talents, like my God-given talents that He gave me with the piano more. I felt like I developed more, and I was learning faster, and since I got to use it more often, I was just getting used to it, and I can start, doing more things than before. So it's been good so far. I feel like I've been growing.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's a lot more to be done.
Oh,
so,
like you're just getting started.
Yeah, like it's just the beginning. So I feel like I can go farther. I just have to figure out how it is that I'm going to get there. And I have to start teaching myself that I can't depend on myself. I have to start depending on God and asking Him for help, because I can't do it on my own. I need God's help. So.
I think you just ended the interview right there. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I love it. That was okay. So your turning point in your relationship with God was, the virus coming out, the quarantining. It gave you time to yourself to really see that this is something you wanted to pursue. This is something you felt you needed to pursue. And now that you're here, you just want to keep going with it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, yes, we always have to continue in our relationship with God. Like, has there ever been a moment for you where you've hit like a stop? Like in your process now, is there a moment where you've hit that bump in the road where you just like stopped and was like, okay, what do I do now?
Kind of like all the time. Sometimes when you just like make those little mistakes, it's like, oh my gosh, now what? Whoa. What happened?
Because it's so new, you just don't know.
Yeah, and then there's always like that feeling in the back of your head where it's just like, I just did something. What if he doesn't forgive me? Oh, now I feel too ashamed to go up to him. Oh, and then because you feel ashamed to go up to him, now it's like, oh, I can't pray anymore now, you know, or oh, it's just hard to read the Bible because I feel guilty, you know. And it's kind of hard when that happens because it kind of leads you to like this depressing state. And when you get there, it's hard to get out because the shame and the guilt is just so strong. So, and then that's when you have to realize that you know, God's going to forgive you and he's going to love you no matter what. And when you realize that, you kind of get comfortable with it, and you have to like you let yourself go. And when you do that, you kind of feel free. But the thing is, you can't just let yourself go like, oh, just one time with one prayer. It's like a process that you have to go through, you know. And each time you go through it, little by little, it's like more freedom, and you're more relaxed, and you feel like you can go farther than before, you know. So yeah.
If there's anything you had to say, especially to any youth, like not just even your local youth, but any youth that may be listening to this podcast, is there any advice that you would want to give them, especially what you've gone through your journey, getting closer to God? Is there any advice you'd want to give to them so that it could possibly help them in their journey?
Well, I mean, in my process, I've always had people, you know. I've had my mom, my parents, like everyone goes to church and they're just like always there. If I need something, I could ask, you know. But then there's like some people who just, they don't have much. They don't have a lot of people to like help them, or anyone at all who knows about God, you know. So I don't really know what they go through, but I guess a piece of advice would be that if you want to like pursue or like learn about God, you should start with the Bible and you should start praying. But when you start doing this, I don't think you have to you have to understand at the first try, or you have to, you know, start praying for like hours a day, because it's going to be hard. I would say, you know, take your time and go at your own pace, you know, because God's patient, you know, and he'll wait for you, you know. And eventually, when your time comes, he's going to move you out of your comfort zone, and he's going to make you start moving. And you just have to trust the process and trust him, because he is the one who, you know, has your future in his hands. So you just have to trust in God and believe, and, you know, go on, pray.
Yeah. I'm going to add on to that. But yes, you know, as youth now, we live in a world where, you know, especially I work with kids. I work in a school. I'm an aftercare counselor, and you can see in those kids in this world now, everything is so over-sexualized, hyper-sexualized. I have 3rd and 5th graders that are sexualizing everything that comes out of somebody's mouth, and to see that world that we're in now, where these kids are being open to stuff that you wouldn't even see till at least 18. And now you're seeing it in kids that are like 7, like not even half that age. It's crazy. So we always have to keep in mind that, you know, God is there, and to have all this stuff come out and at us all at once, we have to remember we have someone backing us, and that is, you know, that's God. He's always going to be on our shoulder there, watching over us and guiding us. And if you are going through that process where you're beginning your journey with God, you can always remember that he's there on your shoulder. He's there on both your shoulders. Instead of an angel and a devil, it's just God, you know. He's on your shoulders. He's guiding you on that path towards him and towards, you know, his word and his people. And, you know, to always remember that, to have, like you said, people around you, to always try to find at least one person to talk to help understand what you're going through, to help guide you through it as well. You know, I grew up in church as well. Like, my family all went to church. So to see, like, oh, everybody's in church, I'm going to go to church too. And then once you hit that age, a lot of people begin to, you know, depart from church, depart from God. But they always end up coming back. Because like you said, as you spend more time with yourself, you realize this is what you need.
Yeah.
You begin to realize what your needs and wants are. And one of that is that connection with God. And I loved having you here, Isabella, Your testimony was wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. I hope you enjoyed this interview, this podcast. Thank you for joining us on La Historia No Contada English. We will be doing this some more. I appreciate you guys. Please remember, where we'll be coming out on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, and remember to keep your notifications open for when that new episode may come out, so you can follow this journey with us into this new series of English, so that we can hit all the other youth in this world that may not understand the Spanish. Well, until next time, thank you for joining us. Remember, everybody has a story to tell. Thank you.
Gracias por formar parte de la historia no contada. Recuerda suscribirte al canal y activar la campanita de las notificaciones. Y si nos escuchas desde alguna plataforma de podcast, te invitamos a calificarnos con 5 estrellas. Esto será todo por hoy, pero te esperamos en el próximo episodio de la historia no contada.